Hello, RP people, and welcome back to another episode of Role Playing as Smart People, the podcast where we pretend to know what we're talking about when it comes to all things tabletop. My name is Santa, and thanks for tuning in again. Today I have Mr. Finder and Scott W. as always. Say hello, guys.
Hey.
What up?
So, on tonight's episode, I think we're going to do more of a couple little mini topics because I think we're all feeling a little sassy, or at least I am. So, and it's the first week of October of when we're recording this, and I'm just absolutely brain fried already from school, which it's already been 2 weeks. Only been 2 weeks. So, yeah, little topics would be fun for right now. So, for our first topic, I was thinking, well, actually, who was it? Scott, did you recommend this one, or was it you, Finder?
Which one is it?
It is pet peeves while GMing.
That's me.
Yeah. So yeah, our first little mini topic is going to be pet peeves while GMing, the things we like and the things, well, no, just the things we don't like. Let's start it off on a negative note.
On a negative. Look, that's not even the title I suggested.
What was the title?
Just play the fucking game.
All right. I will edit.
I suggested.
Just play the fucking. It's so true though. So since you suggested the topic, Scott, who would you like to go first?
Oh,
Yeah.
So you're a new GM, so have you? Well, I know your people listen to it, so you got to caveat it with like you're not a dick or anything, but like, what's a good way of putting this? Do your expectations for the game? I think this is where my frustrations are. Is the expectations in a GM's head of how you're setting up a setting and a game? Do your players, are they matching them? Not meeting them like, oh, they're doing everything I want to do, but like you have an idea on a theme and a conceit, and then are the players at least meeting those ideas, or are they just being fucking extra? Sorry to
No. That's cool. You know what? I would say they are meeting the expectation. Just because we are playing with the Victorian era, I had a situation, and it was actually really funny in the purpose of the game and all that, because the Ripper Society is a very, like besides the the classist issues they have, anyone can be a Ripper as long as you are a good hunter, as long as you're quick on your feet. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, you can be one. But then when they're actually interacting with the real world or the so-called real world, I guess, and all of a sudden gender roles start coming into effect, I find it funny because there is some pushback on it. But I'm trying to make sure that they know it, like I'm not doing it to be like a dick, including making, like, if they push back on that idea, I let them push back, and I find it's fun because you can actually see their own interactions within it.
Yeah.
And I like that. So I think they are living up to what I expected out of the setting.
Nice. You could probably find it on YouTube. Yeah, I'm sure that most of them have probably seen it, but so for something like that, you ought to have them watch every once in a while the scene from Wonder Woman when she has to go into London and she's walking around with the sword and the shield and her booty shorts and shit, and everyone's like, what the fuck? It's a good scene of like kind of how of like, oh shit, okay, well here's how you can toy with it and have a good time with it.
Yeah. No, I definitely had a good time because, like, I remember I was setting up and it's like they were each kind of going undercover because you can't, like, it's a small town. They each got jobs, and I told it was like, oh, there's a barmaid position open and a maid, and one of the women on my table was just like, well, can I do the laborer job too? And so I literally played it as the guy because he was part of the Rippers Society. He get flustered and start to say how, like, pretty much go through like the paperwork, and it's just like, I'm so, and he just pretty much got through that thing as quickly as possible. I stuttered the whole time for it because he's just like one of the bean counters in the organization that's really just there to kind of make sure it's all up and running. Yeah. And so he was absolutely terrified of these people who could easily kick his ass, but he still had a job to do, and it was just so fun.
Nice,
so fun. I do have a pet peeve though. Also,
what's the pet peeve?
and this is not just towards tabletop, this is towards any kind of social situation.
Uh-oh.
When I'm talking to you, just put down your cell phone. Simple as that.
So you better stay
I'm
away from
guilty of it too
Gen
at
Z does
sometimes
not put
too,
down those
but
phones. Gen Z does not need to put down phones, but it drives my wife crazy too, and our daughter does it. And like Gen Z's trained themselves to pay attention to multiple things at one time. It's okay. She's listening and hearing everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh, and
rough for the
I
boomers and
know
shit I
because
work
like
with.
I know that everyone can listen to it. Like I'm guilty of doing it myself. Like I'm not gonna lie, but like
You still like it.
yeah,
Get fucked, boomer.
I don't. Yeah, I know. It's fucking stupid that I will do the same thing.
No, right. No, it's all good. Well, there you go. So it's not too bad. It's not even a gaming
Yeah,
pet peeve. Come on now.
no.
All right, Rich. Yeah.
Drum roll.
Anything?
Oh, my pet peeves. I actually have been trying to think about this. I'm like, do I have any pet peeves? I think most of my pet peeves aren't necessarily around GMing itself. To kind of like you, Sandra, it's more around um,
Table etiquette.
table etiquette to some degree. Yeah, and wanting things to flow. Like I believe it was the other Scott who talked about knowing what your spells do
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Discord.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, I find myself, this combat has X number of participants. You have that amount of time to
Mhm.
figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I understand to some degree that that decision may need to change based on what happens in the intervening time, right? I mean, the guy you want to attack gets killed, so now you got to figure out who else to attack, and maybe that person doesn't have the same sort of stuff, and so now you have to change tactics. So I understand that to some degree, but just helping the game move forward. And I think my biggest pet peeve is when people aren't cooperative in the storytelling.
Yes.
That's a
As
good
an
one.
example,
Yeah.
it's great to play your hindrance for Savage Worlds, but it's also great to play your hindrance while being forced to not be following your hindrance. As an example, a character who absolutely hates technologies. So like in the Deadlands setting,
Yeah.
you have the old ways hindrance, and you don't do anything technological. I mean, you're not going to get on like a steam wagon, like a steam stagecoach sort of
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
And in a game that I'm playing in, I'm not the GM. One of the players has that hindrance, old ways. Don't know why. They're a frickin' witch, not even Native American. So don't know why they took that hindrance, but whatever. So they have that hindrance. There's an entire game that the GM planned centered around us having to get on this Steam stagecoach.
Did they know that ahead of time when they made the character?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. And no, I mean the character was like a long ways out, and I don't know if the GM even remembered that he had that hindrance because we're like,
Yeah.
"What? Why do you even have that hindrance?" Well,
I,
my demon.
I mean,
It's
I
like,
can kind of see it if you're like, trying to be that anachronistic pagan, I guess.
Yeah.
could be, but
But
everything else, she's not that way.
oh,
I mean,
okay. Still
so
carries guns and all this
it's
shit.
kind of a weird,
Yeah.
hindrance. But anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
the BA Baracus didn't necessarily like getting on planes, but they got him on the plane.
Right. Yeah. And it never, the A team didn't end after the first time they fucking tricked him.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And that's the thing though, is like I didn't want to trick that player either, or that character either, because I know how that's going to play out down the road. I'm like, I just don't even want to deal with all of the repercussions of that decision. So it's like, to the GM's credit, we ran the game, and that person said, "Well, I'll follow on a horse." And I felt bad for the other player who said, "Well, I'll stay back with her as well." Okay, they
Yeah.
missed the entire thing until I was able to play an adventure card that got them to where we were. But it's like it forced us to do things because they weren't willing. It's like you can still do it. You don't have to be happy about it. You can grouse about it, but you're going to sit out the entire adventure for that thing. And that's, I mean, I don't know. So
No,
it's like when you're not
yeah.
being cooperative.
Yeah. I'm tracking that. You go against the fucking the very conceit of the game, and you know, especially if you know ahead of time. I guess that's the real
Yeah.
frustrating part.
Yeah, and I like she couldn't even play that like hindrance. So like you said, she was either pissed off about it just because you like if you're given like a I'm not too sure of the context of it, but given a job or something like that, are you gonna is the character gonna be happy about it? No, but for the sake of the story, make up a reason why she like why the character would still get on it, and just because they refuse to use items with it doesn't necessarily mean that they wouldn't ride a train.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this character's been on trains.
Oh, then what the fuck's the point?
So
Then
is it now? I'm just curious. Is the player making a big deal about it now to be kind of contentious, or is it just like
Honestly, I don't know.
okay?
The player, I mean, we've played together for 20 plus years now, so it's like, I
Oh
don't
wow.
get weird. They get weird ideas occasionally, and it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So
so what about you, Scott? What's your peeve?
Oh, fucking stop being fucking extra. If you have the books and you're given the books, read the fucking book, look at the options you're given, and stop trying to make new fucking options. That shit drives me fucking crazy for some reason. It's just like, especially if you're experimenting with stuff or with a system or with a setting, it's like there are fucking limitations, and just, man, I'm real frustrated about, and Rich knows some of this is just from the game we're running. And it's like, just fucking, why can't you just be a player who sits at the table and makes a fucking character that's in line with the setting? It's like I ran Deadlands and the kid wanted to be like, oh, I'll be 10 feet tall. Get the fuck out of here. What are you, fucking dumb? It's Deadlands. You're in the fucking Old West. Yes, there's magic. Oh, you can believe in magic, but you can't believe in 10-foot tall human. No, I can't. I fucking can't. And it's just like even with this, the game I'm running now for what's probably gonna be the new setting is the same shit. And, Rich and I have been having a long conversation about it, and you've seen him too. Is like, just why do you have to be? I don't understand players who want to be just fucking extra. It's either attention seeking or they just don't get it. You know, that might be it. So, or
I
I don't know what a third option is.
I think it's because they came into it with a preconceived notion of what they
Oh,
wanted to do without really considering the source material. So
at all, right?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, and then when they come into it and they're like, "Oh, I can't do this." Well, I'm going to try and do it anyways.
I
And I
think the difficult part with this scenario, this specific scenario, since it is a real world example that we're currently living,
Yeah.
the struggle that I have as a player with that, though, also is the character in question has tried to make himself a jack of all trades, and he's good at most things. And the things that he's not good at, he has this
Mm-hmm.
invulnerable golem.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I have no reason to be on this team because
Right.
you have all the bases covered.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
in fact, in the last game, I made a stealth roll and I hid the entire fight. He's like, "You're not going to get in the fight." I'm like, "My character tries to avoid fights. He's a stealth guy.
Right.
He's an infiltration specialist. He's not a get up in your face and punch you in the nose or
Right.
shoot you with a gun." And so, no, you've got this. You don't need my help. I'm hiding.
Yeah, no, I mean and it really did happen. Rich rolled like a 34 on stealth, and that was it.
he's like, "I'm
That's no, it's a
going."
real that was a real roll. It was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's a good point. It's just real frustrating because it's like, and then going back and asking questions is like, obviously didn't even read the like 4 fucking pages of like, here's the arcane backgrounds we're using, for instance. Just willfully disregarded it, and it's just like, it's real frustrating. And then like, yeah, I don't know. And that kind of couples on to just other things that frustrate me with players is like, again, it's, and you guys know me, but just stop trying to win the fucking game. Just please stop.
Yeah,
I hate, it's fucking useless.
another pet peeve would
Yeah.
be I haven't experienced it, but as a player, it's still but power gamers.
Yeah, like the real, like this is what we're dealing with now. Honestly, I mean, Rich, I think that's really what the problem is. With this,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like they think it's fun because you get to win, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna teach you a fucking lesson about tabletop, and then we'll do something. Then you're going to make something different, and it's just frustrating to have to go about it like this, you know.
Yeah.
But it's something the player wanted to do, so I'm like, okay, like you can do it. We've obviously all set through it. We saw that it's going to be a problem. We went through and redid the math, and it was like, okay, cool, it checks out. So we'll see how this goes, and it's not like being a dick. It's just like Rich was saying, there's other options that I have other than just telling them get fucked. So we're going to use those options to really say, here's how the system works. It's like so with Task Force Raven, it was really nice. The dude bought he's a backer. He bought Raven. Really loves it, and you guys saw the conversation because he's like, well, the character's really, really powerful. And my friends and I don't think I showed you guys that. He's like, well, my friends and I have gone through and mathematically calculated the system, and bonuses and penalties don't really matter much. It's more of conditions that really matter in the system. And it's just like, my response is like, well, they're powerful until bullets don't matter, like against a fucking vampire. You're going to mag dump and do fuck all to a vampire as a special forces operator or any other cryptids. And then it's like their cover is real, and I was like, and cover can disintegrate, and you can blow through cover in Savage Worlds is because it's an obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
And, kind of the comeback was when you got, it was like, well, that's not how cover works. It's like, that's exactly how fucking cover works. It's Savage because they think that it's a static position because they look at the dolls on the map and like, well, my doll's still behind the rock. Okay, but that's not what's happening. Your doll is taking peep shots and you're doing sidelongs and you're still trying to get your fucking line of fire. You roll the dice because you've really already expended ammunition, but now you're seriously making the fucking effort to get bullets down range. Same thing for arrows or anything else. The die roll represents that concerted effort to actually contact. In the meantime, you're still parrying. You're doing all the things. You're not just standing there like you're fucking 1835 soldiers. And I think people have a hard time with that. And he was like, well, there's no rule for cover disintegrating. And when we're talking about it, is like, yeah, it's called the GM. If you're hiding behind a door, I shoot through it and I'm still missing you. The door is not going to stay whole. Like I've put enough bullets through things that I can tell you they don't last long. And so I don't need a fucking rule to tell you that your cover is dwindling. But
that sounds like a person who really takes the game part of RPGs more serious than the role play aspect.
Yeah, 100%. Go ahead. Sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, and I think we've, and I don't know this dude's or person. I don't know what their experience is in GM. I mean, are they a new GM or are they an experienced GM?
I don't know.
It seems like a lot of questions come up around GMs who don't want to adjudicate.
Right, 100%. Yeah, they want the answers, all for them in the book.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things too. And you're onto something because it was like, well, some of these hindrances and edges like are kind of the same in what they do, and they're kind of the same for Suede. And it's like, yeah, because it's called fucking trappings. Like you can have two edges that give you the same bonus to persuasion, but it's how they give it to you is what should matter to you.
Yep.
And so it's real. That's another thing. It's just, it's real frustrating. Like it's just fuck, man. Play the conceit of the game. Stop trying to win. Just goddamn. Fuck.
Well, I think part of that problem. There's that popular meme though that goes around as well, right? How your D&D party starts and it shows a picture of the Fellowship of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then how it ends and they show a picture of Monty Python.
Yeah. And I don't know why it happens that way. Like I don't understand that. Like I don't play enough, but I also, when I play, I don't act like a jerk off. So if I'm told we're playing like Cyberpunk, I'm not gonna. I don't even know a fucking example. I don't even think like this, so it's hard to give an example of like how I'd be a jerk off trying to make a character. Like I don't sit down and be like, oh man, they're probably gonna throw like a lot of corp sec at us. So yeah, I'm gonna have super high influence so I can bribe the corp sec during combat. No, fucking stop. That's not what the game is about. God, I'm getting fucking frustrated. Oh my god, but people do shit like that.
Yeah, I
God damn.
and there's like an aspect of like kind of doing something that sounds funny, but in reality makes sense with the setting, opposed to doing something that's just kind of like ridiculous.
Yeah, imagine if one of your Rippers characters said that they take fucking Beast Friend and they have a fucking dog, and the dog requires, like lotus blossoms in order to fucking motivate the dog to go fucking track something down. That's fucking dumb, and you know exactly what they're doing. They're Scooby Dooing it.
Yeah. Like,
But there's someone out there who's like, "That's a good idea," but it's not. It's not a good idea. It's not.
I like for a second I had to think about it. I was like, that does sound kind of ridiculous. And then you especially said the part about the lotus flowers. I was like, yeah, okay, now it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's because people who do that kind of shit, that it's deliberate. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I always try to play the conceit of the game.
Like I was actually thinking of when me and Finder played Cyberpunk Red.
Yeah.
My solution to distracting the guards, since my character was not made to be like a close combat fighter, was not meant to be a shooter. I was meant to kind of figure shit out. I was a fixer.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And my solution to the problem wasn't to try and cause a big distraction with myself. I literally went to it. I was like, okay, I paid literally a bunch of homeless people to go up and start making camp at the warehouse with the intent of just like, a bunch of them going there. And I said, start picking a fights among each other. And if shit gets too crazy, bail out. But, just do this. And so what happened? I got that going. A bunch of the securities, they all kind of like converged over when the homeless people, two homeless people got into like a fight, and they were trying to shoo them out. And during that time, Finder's character and another friend of ours character went in through the skylight, got the information that they needed, and dipped out. So we never even had combat. But I thought that suited it.
I think that's because that's a great idea. That's a dystopian fucking solution. You visit 2000 called and wants bum fights back, but I mean, it worked, right?
Oh, they called me a horrible person for it.
Of course, but I don't. You played your character because you're a fixer, so fixers are naturally pieces of shit, to be honest, right?
He was.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think that's a bad solution. It's just, and it's the little things when you read character sheets and shit. That's the biggest advice I have for GMs. Is like, if you don't actually read the character sheets and you're looking at the fine details and the things that are putting down, and you're not like, you can't look at a character sheet and be like, oh, that seems pretty neat. Sometimes you got to be like, why would they pick that in this setting? And you can almost always come to the proper, answer almost immediately. Of like, oh, because this, like this setting is, I don't know, like fucking, I don't know, low magic, but they want to be a weird scientist and they have this edge that allows them to create a permanent magic item or whatever. Okay, well, I know what you're doing, right? We agreed to low magic, but you're going to try to have this plethora of fucking magic items around you at all times because it's in the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, just crazy. Just weird. I don't know. It's just real frustrating and I don't know. I'm sure there's shit that
when you put in your own hard work to try and make a game that sounds fun, that kind of fits a certain theme, and then people just come in and they kind of shit over it. Like, whoever you are, mister, suit up and just realize you're playing a role in a game. Respect the person.
Right. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's frustrating because like I go to cons and I get handed characters, so it's not like I'm making these things. They hand me something. I'm like, what am I playing? Fucking cool. Give me 10 minutes to read over it. Awesome. And we go. I play the character on the paper. I don't play what I think it should do. I don't play anything about them. Like, okay, here's the conceit of the character you gave me. So that's why I just don't make a lot of characters. But even if I do, if we're playing an Arabesque game, I'm not going to be like, I know we're playing in like Rich. I know Rich has his Arabesque setting, right?
Yep.
So when I play the character on Rich, I want to play a Viking because I want to, and it's just like, the first instinct of anyone would be like, get the fuck off my table. You're done. Like, no, but come on, bro. It's like a reverse of 13th Warrior. Don't you get it? It's like, no, just Why can't you just be fucking normal?
Because I'm a gamer.
Yeah, right. Just like, fuck. I get that fucking you have a hard time with some things, but man, this is not the one thing in life you should have a hard time with. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of story. I mean, I could be out of pocket. I'm sure people will listen to it and they'll be like, "God damn, he's getting upset over nothing." I'm like, but it's not nothing. It's just
It's not nothing. And here's what I've found is I have a fairly high bullshit tolerance.
yes, you do. I don't know how.
And so it's like the things that bother that really get under your skin.
Yeah.
I am like, okay, I can roll with it, whatever. And so, but like even as a player in another game, right now my Friday friends group, we're playing a game and the GM has a whole lot of logical inconsistencies in the framework of the world.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Yeah.
We're doing Savage Worlds Pathfinder, Spelljammer sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody knows about spell jamming, and yet there's this big contest that's off world. So we are getting on the Spelljammer ship, and then there's like it's just a mess. And my one friend in the game, like the first night we played that game, we didn't know if he'd pissed the GM off because suddenly the GM was gone.
Oh.
And I still don't know that I fully believe that his internet went out, because that's the text message we got, was that his internet went out, and we're like,
Yeah.
we'll just call it. It's okay.
Damn.
Then we got on last night or on Friday night, and there were still my one friend just can't keep his mouth shut about it. He's like, dude, I don't understand. And I'm like, just go with it, man.
Well, but it is hard, right? And so that's maybe a converse to discussion from perspectives, mainly you two, because you guys play more. But yeah, you said that the GM is trying to do a good game, but there's the inconsistencies are basically violating the principles of being at the table, right? And so it's like, if there's no adjusting for that, it's the age-old problem of like, well, there is no magic in the world, but we got a party wizard, motherfucker. Yeah, but it's different. Well, it's different, but the whole fucking village just saw this motherfucker put a fire out with his fingers, and they should be putting his ass up on a stick. So, and I get it. I do get that, because that is irritating as well for a GM to not. I don't know, man. I don't know what to call that. Like, yeah, to have internal logic going on. You have to understand, like, what am I doing, and why am I doing it, and how does this affect the world?
Yeah.
You know.
See, and here's where I think I tend to cut people slack, players or GMs, and like I said, again, I acknowledge that my bullshit tolerance is high, but the problem I think a lot of GMs have is they're not trained storytellers,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't understand pacing, they don't understand necessarily internal logic. They have these few big piece sets that are in their heads, like, I want this scene to happen.
Yep.
And they don't know how to get you to that scene, and so they make this convoluted approach to get you there, and sometimes that takes your agency away, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it forces contradictory logic in the game world itself, and it's that they just don't know what they're doing, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's like, I'm here to play it. And it's like I told my friend when he was talking with me offline about it, I'm like, dude, my entire thing on Friday is I just want to hang out with you guys and talk and have a good time throwing dice and killing things.
Yeah.
That's my aim. And so I'm not looking for this GM to give me a really compelling story, because if I want that, I'm going to go read a novel or watch a movie or something like that from somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I tend to cut people a little bit more slack in that regard, but at the same time, I do understand that can be especially when you have. I know, Scott, that you put a lot of thought and effort into your games, and you are a good storyteller, and so I can understand why it's frustrating for you to have that character come in and say, "Well, I'm going to do the reverse of the 13th Warrior thing," dude. That's not the story I want to tell. That's not the story I pitched.
Right? Yeah, that's the worst part. Nah, thank you for the kind words, but you have a high bullshit meter, so now I don't trust anything you say. But yeah, that's kind of what it is, right? It's like, yeah, like I said at the beginning, just play the fucking game.
Yeah. I feel like it could be summarized like this. It's like making a Lord of the Rings show with nobody who's ever read or watched any Lord of the Rings content.
Basing it off of 15 pages and a couple of letters.
Yes, and not knowing any of its history. And even if they wanted to put it in, they don't have the licenses to actually do that because that's from other books that are currently owned by other studios. Yeah. You know, just I'm just throwing this analogy out of my own ass, like whether it's this would ever happen, probably not, because nobody would be dumb enough to try and make a Lord of the Rings show without Lord of the Rings. But you know,
now, Santa, I can tell you that I've read Lord of the Rings Cliff Notes, and so I'm an expert at Lord of the Rings.
That's a true statement. Yeah. Well, it's but yeah, I don't know. Those are good points, though, Rich. I mean, you really did. It is like a, you know, like I said, that one, the one kid who's in the game. Actually, I think two of them who's playing with us on Broken Are the Stars. I met them in that Pathfinder, Savage Worlds Pathfinder, and I played that game one night till like midnight or 1 a.m, and I wanted to fucking cut my goddamn arms off just listening to it because it was the worst shit ever. And I'm just like, I fucking waited so long to play, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna play. I gotta play. Fuck, I'm gonna do it really cool. I have my fucking, because I'm that fucking bitch. I go out and I was like, okay, I got a picture of the paladin that I want to play. I want to become. But I'm young, so here's how the paladin's going to start out, and then here's the god symbol, but I need to tarnish it up a little bit because it's a hand me down, and I'm not really. Yeah, it was just like in fucking 15 minutes. I was like, I've made a mistake. Oh.
Yeah, I remember even that night when you're in it, and I knew you had a game, and I just see you messaging, and I'm just like, isn't he in a game right now? And I'm like, oh, how's your game? And you're like, I want to fucking blow my brains out. You're like, I'm so tempted just to disconnect and leave the Discord server without saying anything. I'm like, ouch, so that frustrated. Bad.
And I wasn't a dick. I just said, hey, I'm gonna bow out. I was like, I've just got other shit going on. I'm trying to finish a project, and it's usually good to go. It just wasn't a well run game, kind of like Rich was saying. You could tell.
That's almost like the breakup line of "It's not me, it's you," or "It's not you, it's me."
Yeah, it's not you and your fucking 5-hour pacing to make it 3 fucking hexes in a fucking map. It's not you at all. It's definitely me. And my desire to just fucking adventure, because that's the conceit of Savage Worlds Pathfinder.
Now, I will say though, that is as a player, that's one of my pet peeves. Is a GM who wants to. It's going to take you a week to get from point A to point B. Right. We're going to camp every single one of those 7 days, and we're going to go through every freaking watch order, and everybody's going to roll notice, and then we'll roll to see if there's a random encounter. And it's like,
that was that game, and I was just like, you could just do this as a fucking a quick encounter. And you could do it one quick encounter roll from each person in the party using a different skill set based on like kind of what you want to see. It was just like, there's so many better ways of fucking doing this than exactly what you said, exactly what we did. I was like, I don't give a fuck what watch I'm on, because you guys have never stood watch a day in your fucking lives. You work mids, but you don't know what it's like to be asleep until fucking 2:00 in the morning, or 4 till, or have the balls to 4 watch. And so you don't get any sleep and shit, because you're just like, oh, I'll just stay up. Oh, now it's fucking 1:30 in the morning and I'm seeing shit. But if I fall asleep, it's my military career, and they'll fucking.
Here's the funny thing about D&D though, is you keep watch because you're typically in a war zone.
Yes.
Where are people camping, going on an adventure?
Bro, nowhere. Do you know who keeps watch when we go camping?
Nobody.
No, the fucking dogs do. That's who keeps watch. Because animals are real good about letting you know that shit's not right.
Yeah. Well, it's like I asked my friends one time, I'm like, we're in D&D, and I tried to break that. I'm like, why are we keeping watch?
Yeah,
and they're like, well, because
it's a trope.
Dude, when was the last time you went camping? And who kept watch? Did you guys set up a watch order?
Yes.
You're in the woods where there are black bears and stuff, but why are we keeping watch?
Right, and that's the important piece, right? Is like just make the fucking survival roll.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't have any rations, make the. So many better ways. Yeah, so that's where I can see players get irritated with GMs because it irritates the shit out of me, and I don't play that much. I played a con game and we did that. We were playing Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I was like, "We're playing DCC. It is probably the closest D20 game to fucking Savage Worlds." And we're on hour 2.5 and we're still keeping watch and doing a fucking marching order down a fucking road.
Like I
what
get
is
it
happening?
if you're in like some really dangerous area. Okay,
I don't
it
give a
makes
fuck.
sense.
No, I
No?
don't get that. Just roll the fucking dice. Because you only check you only make checks when it's necessary.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you want to do? Well, I want to put an ambush up. Okay, put the fucking ambush up. You make that roll, we make our rolls. If we win, then you just come up with a clever reason of like, oh, the rocks come down the side of the fucking scree, and your horses begin to be alerted, and some shit like that, and just like, oh, I guess it's on. Let's do this, Leroy Jenkins, and then you're having a good time because you're fucking DCC combat. Yeah, man, real frustrating. I'm sorry, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it, but man, it's fuck, man.
So-
It's like I said, I've never forced you guys. I don't have, and you guys know this. I don't have a story when we play. I'm the fucking worst. I'm
No,
just like, here's some
great.
fun shit we want to do. We're gonna do we're gonna do ETU, right? We're doing ETU, and it's like, okay, what are we doing? I don't know. We're gonna play fucking kids who are going to college, and weird shit's gonna happen, and then you're gonna be forced to investigate because no one else is gonna know shit's going on, maybe, right? And so it's that's the thing is like, I don't know, let's do that and have a conceit going. You're making college kids, and you guys none of you have violated the conceit. You all played the college kids really well so far. We're getting used to shifting back to an 18-year-old mindset and being like, oh,
It's
okay.
been a while.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to-
tough, right? The
I'm trying to be
instinct is
a
to beat the
Zabra.
shit. Yeah, the instinct is to want to fight everything and shit. But I'm like, we'll get there. But it's like this instant conceit. Day after Ragnarok, I didn't have a fucking plan for what we're doing. I knew how the game was started. And then once the players got boots on ground, I had no idea what was going to happen next. I
Well,
made
you
all
might-
that shit up every fucking week.
Even my first Rippers I guess game. I remember I had this big plan and I had like all these different events planned out, and then it was like it started and it was like none of this is going where it is. So I pretty much just took those ideas and just put them where I wanted to, but I didn't really have after literally the first 20 minutes of like playing, I realized that none of my plans are going to work out. So I just said fuck it to all of them.
Yeah, man. That's the spirit.
Yeah.
And
it's
then you
great.
scrambled, online. I scrambled to make tokens and character sheets for things because I have to have something to roll the fucking dice. So
Even in my current one, like I had no fucking idea. Like I'm playing because they already kind of know I'll be able to say this part, but like we're
Yeah.
playing like who's the werewolf.
sure,
And-
yeah.
And
That'll chestnut.
they don't know. And to be honest, the session 1 of this campaign, I didn't know either. Now I do.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna fucking regret giving me all these ideas.
See.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
good
great.
though, and that's how it should work out. I don't know. Do you guys have any other pet peeves from a player perspective? I guess for shit. that
Ooh,
GMs
from a
do?
player perspective,
Right.
that GMs do.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've already stated all mine.
I mean, I do like them. They're all the same ones I have. Just run the fucking game.
I have one small one, and
Yeah.
this is very genre specific.
Oh,
If you're doing a supers campaign, don't make every single enemy that you fight a super.
oh no, right? Yeah, that's the whole point.
I know, it's like everyone here has superpowers except for the people who you don't
No.
have no purpose fighting. I'm like, well, god damn it.
No,
I-
you
I-
should
I
take
want-
on armies and tanks and shit, and then
No,
the big battle is like, oh, the sub boss arrives, and you
I want to
fucking
fight some weak
tell-
henchmen. I want to be
Right,
able
yeah.
to pummel a room of
Yes.
30 people.
Yeah.
And then afterwards fight this really big, powerful boss who is
Yeah.
definitely way more powerful than
Yep.
like us individually and
Yeah.
to an extent us combined. Like that's what I want. I want the big bad fucking guy who can knock the shit out of me if he gets a decent roll.
Yeah.
But I want to
to
beat up on the little guys.
Yeah,
I
that's
wanna
how I
beat
wrote
up the
Raven.
little people.
A Raven operating team is going to cut through, is going to mow down normal human being operators. because that's what they do. They're tier 1. They're hyper fucking effective, and you should be going through dozens of fucking combatants. It should look like a goddamn the Navy SEAL movie with Charlie Sheen. It's just how it is, right? You're going to be really good getting in. Sometimes things will go sideways, as Rich finds if you let Rich roll the fucking dice when he's stealthing. But but yeah, I'm with you, man. Like the conceit is you're going to go John Rambo in fucking the new Rambo movie and mow down people and shit, massive firefights. Your lives are on the line, but you kind of got it. Shit can go sideways, and then you're gonna meet the thing that you are like, the playing field is now leveled.
Yeah, like if I ever play Savage Battle Lords,
Yeah,
and every single enemy seems to be of equal standing to me, I'm going to be so sad because in this one, like Battle Lords are meant to be like the best of the best of the best, so I should be able to combat a really fucking crazy situation and only once get into like, of course, either numbers will dwindle me down, or you like in our 40K game, or 2 plasma rifles to the face.
There you go.
Which,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. I don't know. Just frustrating.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't. You have nothing to be sorry about, man. I think if we came in here with the attitude of everything fucking sucks, I think this episode would fucking suck. But the fact that we're still laughing and making jokes makes it all better. It makes it so much better.
Doing this hobby,
yeah.
I don't understand. Yeah. What do you fucking
spending money on that laugh track was the best thing we ever did.
Yeah, right. Man,
yeah.
Was there any other topics you had time for? To talk about?
Oh yeah, we're only at 40 minutes. We got time for another topic. Do you guys have any random questions that you thought would be fun to ask?
Who?
Because I got either of you guys. Because I got 2 questions that I can ask, or 2 mini topics. Do you guys not questions? Do you have any mini topics you guys want to talk about?
I don't know if this is a mini topic. I did think of 2 questions as per your request. I can follow directions occasionally.
I ignored his request and I continued writing a new setting.
Yeah. Well, mini topics, questions, they're all the same deal.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Finder, what do you got?
So, and I don't know that I have a good answer for this one. So I'm really leaning on you guys to enlighten me. But do you have a guilty pleasure game that you just like, even though you shouldn't?
You mean like a system or a setting or
a system setting? And like, are there games that people just hate, but you for some reason absolutely just love?
That's a good question.
I do.
What's yours?
Like love? I don't know if love, but I mean that I don't know how to describe it. Like something that I would really, really want to play, but don't ever get to, but I know people hate it. Is that what we're talking about?
Sure.
No, I'm trying to think.
Like it's something like it's almost like a guilty pleasure show. Like you with your movie,
Your Housewives. Yeah. I don't, but I mean like that. The thing that people always say that you shouldn't like, but
like if you secretly liked watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, shit like that.
Yeah.
Except in game wise.
Fuck, man, I don't know. I think the closest might be the Genesis system. People hate that shit, and I love that system. But I'm not.
And I've never played it.
Yeah,
so
I'm not intimidated by
the
dice.
About Genesis?
Since the dice don't have numbers, it's the one that has the symbols on it.
Oh, gotcha.
And so you have to see those and then be like, oh, I've got a triumph, 2 successes, a failure, and a boon. And then think on your feet of how that narrative works out instead of being like, oh, I hit for 5 damage. So it's very, yeah.
That's the one I think on my Saturday group, one of the guys was talking about like the Fantasy Flight Star Wars, and I think it does something similar, right?
Yep.
And I think the struggle that he said he had was having to come up with that narrative every single roll.
Yeah.
And trying to come up with something different or unique because it's like, I'm in a fight. How do I? It's like.
That's the problem is people think that every roll you have to have something grandiose, but the dice are dictating that. So if you don't roll a triumph, triumph is kind of like a critical, right? Think of it that way. So if you're not rolling a triumph and you're just rolling a couple of successes and a couple of failures, all you got to do is be like, oh, we're exchanging blaster fire. I fire off a couple of rounds and hit him, and I catch a fucking, I catch a fucking blaster shot near my face, and it forces me to duck behind the wall. Done.
Gotcha.
And it's super simple. But on a Triumph is like, oh, I'm doing the blaster shot, one catches me, but as I turn, I see this boy coming up behind me, and I turn and spin and fire the blaster off and catch him in his face. So it's for me, it's a real simple system, but the people just hate it. Just hate it. We need to run it one of these days for you guys.
You should.
It's a good exercise.
It sounds
I'd
like
try it out.
almost like random adventure generation, where you get these three things and you have to figure out how they all go together. Which sounds kind of fun to me, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really cool. I mean, we could do the Star Wars stuff, but they have a fucking fantasy setting. I mean, the book is universal, like Savage Worlds. It's just I ran Eberron with it, with a bunch of dudes on a podcast because they were inexperienced and they wanted someone that could run a more narrative game, and so we did an Eberron adventure. The first scene that you guys did in Eberron, I did that in the system, and it was just as crazy. So yeah, it works. Anyway, so I think that's mine for gaming. I guess for systems.
I got mine.
What is it?
And I didn't realize, but I know Finder has told me like, yeah, I can't think of anything, but it would have to be Rowan Rook and Deckard's game Spire. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to play yet. I feel like it is a hard sell, but like the lore and every shit and all that shit that they put in it, it's just like it's enough for you to get some good ideas, but not too much to the point where everything is set in stone. They've really made it kind of have its own unique feeling. The classes themselves are pretty like interesting, and the fact that the game itself, the system was built to be more almost like an uprising, but done slowly and quietly behind the shadows. It just sounds really cool, but for some reason the sale of it, like trying to sell it to people, is kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to a couple of podcasts on it, and it's a neat concept. I'll say that it's different. It doesn't seem overly heavy-handed with the author's political intent.
No,
but,
and I didn't get too much of that. Like
yeah, me either.
I think if you want to see it like that, you could definitely see it like that.
Sure,
But
yeah.
if you could put this to really any kind of almost like secret society or group that's out there for their own interests, but also for, and like you could say colonialism, but I don't like, and I can see why people would think that, but to be honest, I don't fully see that.
No, I'm with you. I didn't really read that much into it too, and I think there's a couple of things recently where people have like made attempts to be kind of dickish about kind of what they want to do, and I'm like, you're not really sending the message you think you're sending. So, and that goes for everyone. There's a lot. It's not just on one phase or the other. I'm like, nah, you guys, you're trying to be edgelords too hard, and so it's failing you. But yeah, I mean, I would play Spire, run Spire for us one of these days.
Yeah, once I get some time, I'd totally be down. I also really like, even though like it pours more into the fantasy-esque thing, their system, like the same game world, Heart looks also really fucking good. I don't know if you've
I don't
looked
think I've seen that, but yeah.
At Heart is it like, because there's the top of the spire and there's like, there's weird shit that happens with it because nobody really understands what the spire is, and Heart is actually underneath the spire, and it's like pretty much like it's a labyrinth that like there's only one town that seems to exist there, and even then it doesn't exist in the same place all the time, and the spire almost like changes as time goes. So like you could be like, oh, I know where this place is because I've walked the path before, and you walk the path and all of a sudden there's a left turn where before it was straight. And so like the world is ever shifting, and you're going to die going down there either through insanity or through other means, and it just looks like such a cool little concept, and it is a hex crawler actually.
Nice.
Now I will say though, the problem with hex crawls is they sound fun on paper.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they rarely are fun in practice.
100%. They're rough, man.
Yeah, I would have to look at the rules to see. It looks like the hex crawl itself, it's meant to be kind of like more simplified than generating a world since you're really just generating an underground kind of area. But I don't know. It could be interesting. I'll check it out. But yeah, I think anything Rowan Rook and Deckard is my guilty pleasure.
Now, I will say that I thought about the games that I would consider my guilty pleasure, and it's probably going to be Aeon Trinity, like the original one, first edition from White Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That was-
I love that game. I don't know why I love that game as much as I do, because I pick apart the setting. I'm like, I don't see people behaving that way,
Is that
especially after the
the
Aberrons. But whatever. It's to me, it was a fun game, despite all of the baggage that White Wolf conjures up in my mind to begin with. Because every White Wolf game seemed to have they all seem to take themselves way too seriously.
yes. Well,
really?
Yeah, you don't say.
Really?
And Trinity was like a breath of fresh air, because that one there was like, of all their games, that one seemed lighter and was more about hope. In fact, that was one of the taglines, right?
It has every age has its heroes. Only reason why I know that is because I had to Google this game.
Well, actually,
it's a cool game.
Trinity was Hope something and something. Can't remember what all they were anymore, but Hope was a big part of it.
It might
Hope,
be
Sacrifice, something, I think.
Oh, I'm looking at the Trinity Continuum Aeon.
That's the reboot, dude. That's the reboot.
Stay true to the source, bro.
I have never heard of this one. So
yeah, so Aeon Trinity was like, so a fun little fact about this: they got sued by Viacom because it was originally just called Aeon, and Viacom did Aeon Flux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I actually have like one of the early editions of the game that it's still called Aeon instead of Trinity.
Oh shit! Wow, that thing's probably worth cash.
Oh, it's an awesome, and it's like a spiral bound and everything. It's like, it's a great book. It's an awesome book.
Nice.
But
also by White Wolf. Would you say Exalted kind of? I don't think that one really holds itself up as a serious game.
Which one?
It's a fucking Munchkin game.
Exalted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
you were playing as demigods.
Yeah.
Demigods and whatever you want to call it.
Anytime I talk to someone, they're like, "You know what my favorite game is?" I'm like, what is that? Exalted. I just like, oh, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, you that bitch. Okay.
Like it is. I think everyone at some point, like the idea of playing a demigod kind of sounds cool, but yeah, I don't know how that would hold up in actual game wise.
It doesn't. Well, at least not for me. It's not the kind of shit I like. So
I always just pictured it as White Wolf's superhero game.
That's exactly what it is.
Their fantasy super. I bought the second edition one. I got it secondhand. It's a nice book. Whatever. I don't know.
You're a nice book.
I kind of just bought it because I liked it. It looked cool.
I love loving.
I love loving things, so I decided to love it.
Easy, Chloe.
Yeah. I had two questions actually. The first one is because we've kind of talked about combat balancing and all that, but do you think class balancing between the different classes is important?
It depends on the system.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
depends on the system. It depends on the system and depends on the GM.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is every character wants their moment to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And so if your cleric does just as much damage as your fighter, what's the point of having a fighter?
Yep.
What's the point of classes at that point?
Yeah. No, I agree.
For me, I'm less concerned about balance as I am about is there going to be something where this character can stand out and make a difference in the team?
Yeah. It's like, what's the point of having a companion bear if all the companions really suck for a specific class in 5e?
I know what you're talking about. It's crazy.
Rangers.
Yeah, you're talking about Rangers.
Yeah. Fucking Rangers all suck. There's no point in playing a Ranger. Besides being a shitty version of every other character.
Yeah. Yes, this is a deeper conversation.
Did you guys have any?
I've always liked Rangers.
What about Rich? Rich, did you say what you were? Oh no, Alternity. Sorry, Trinity.
Trinity.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did.
Man, I'm fucking losing my mind today.
Oh, it's okay. I've lost my mind a little while ago.
Yeah. So what?
14
And then,
assignments at 14
so does it
days.
matter? I mean, I don't know. Up until 2 weeks ago, I would have told you that nothing you can do in Savage Worlds can really irritate the fuck out of me. And then lo and behold,
Yeah.
I read something that irritated the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You even shared that. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah,
Being
we're
on the
gonna learn.
outside, I thought that's funny. Being
Yeah.
on the inside, I would 100% understand.
Yeah, we're gonna
Oh, hi,
learn
kitty.
this coming week.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny, did you say you had another question or?
All right, if you want me to ask my second question, I can ask my second
Yeah,
question.
come
And this
on,
one
sure.
I actually do have an answer for.
Ooh.
So, is there a game that you've never played but you wished you had, and especially if it's a game that's no longer in print?
Ooh, shit, man, that's a hard yes. There's so many.
Okay, you go first. I gotta think about this one.
Yeah, what do you got, Rich?
For me, just because I'm from the AD&D 1E era,
Mm-hmm.
and I am completely enamored with Voice the Barrier Peaks, something like that, whatever it is.
Expedition to Barrier Peaks.
Expedition. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah, I got you.
and I know that was like the introduction of Metamorphosis Alpha.
Yes.
I would love to check out Metamorphosis Alpha just to see what it is.
Oh man.
Since it's not Star Frontiers.
Yeah. No tracking. Yeah. Oh shit, dude.
So that's one that I wish. I mean, other than that, there's a ton of games that I'd love to play that I've never had the opportunity. But
Yeah.
that's like the gaming history one for me. Is like, man, that'd have been kind of a cool game to check out if I'd known about it.
Right.
But I
Question.
didn't know about it.
Does it have to be a tabletop RPG or could it be just something in the tabletop realm?
Why are you being extra, man?
Yeah, exactly. We just the whole fucking episode in the beginning. Look, I have a question.
No. It's because
I
I was
know
trying
we're
to.
playing in space, but I really want to play a character who's afraid of spaceships. Is that okay?
The only reason why I say that is because I find with RPGs, like, as long as you have a copy of it, you can play it no issue, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So, like, for me,
guys are
like playing with a
dicks.
game, like I could say something like, would like to try and play Paranoia Second Edition, which is what I thought of initially, but I was like, I could, like, I'm sure if I went on Roll20, I could find a game very easily of that. No, maybe not very easily, but if I scoured,
No.
yeah. Well, that would be that one. But the one I was thinking of was actually what was it? It was the Legend of the Five Rings card game. Just because
Oh,
when I found out about it,
yeah.
I looked it up. I was like, oh man, maybe I'll pick up like the starter decks and all that. And I went to the website. And it was like discontinued. So I was like, oh fuck, when did it discontinue? And it was literally like 3 months before.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you
they
should
weren't
come to
selling
Memphis.
anymore.
The guys who ruined Deadlands for me, they play that game.
Oh, I'll
So,
pass.
Yeah, it's the only connection.
Like
I
I'd come
in
to
my head.
Memphis to see you, but I won't go there to play card games with people I don't know.
You never know.
I do know.
Yeah, you never know.
What about you, Scott? What's yours?
Oh man, I don't know. There's a lot of shit that like I really want to play. I just don't get a chance to play that often. So it's like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like no, because I play. Yeah, like a lot of it I have played. I guess. What haven't I really ever played in that I'm dying to play in? You know what? I've never played in the West End game Star Wars, and I think that would be a blast.
That is a blast.
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite games, like back in the 90s.
That's awesome. Yeah, the system is cool. They can see the characters. Like I look at it, and like the former Jedi is the one that I'm like, that would be so much fun to fucking play a Jedi who doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was a game. The rule book itself was fun to read. The ads in it are phenomenal. I mean, like recruitment ads for the Empire, and it was just a lot of fun. And I built so many characters for that game, that I never played just because it was fun making characters.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Just one of those things. Yeah.
I think the one problem with that question is we literally have a group that it's like, you guys want to try playing this? Yeah, sure. Let's try
I mean,
playing that.
right. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, it's actually a benefit for us because I know
Oh,
we'd all be willing to do it.
We're lucky because so many
Yes.
people are stuck in either one system where it's like as a group, like, you know,
I wanna play
3 out of the
Dungeons
5 people still want to just do that one system.
and Dragons. No, I gotta do Dungeons and Dragons.
Now, I do feel called out at that on this point.
Why? You've played so many different games in
I
Savage.
do. My Friday Friends group, though, we have all landed on Savage World just because we're all busy. We don't want to
Yeah.
have to learn
But-
a new rule system every time we want to change games.
That's kind of convenience, though. Like,
Yeah.
look at
It is.
your
It's not as
Saturday
fast
group.
as anything else. Yeah,
Right.
Your Saturday group, it's literally just like
everything else.
Yeah,
Right.
everything but like a couple things.
Which is
Yeah.
funny because that Saturday group we got together on Savage Worlds. The first game we ever played like 5 years ago was Last Parsec.
Oh, the ironings.
Oh shit! Nice. Yeah, I just well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing is we are willing to try anything out, which is always fun, even if it's a one shot. And that's my thing is I like one shots. I don't need to have a fucking 85-year campaign.
I'm warming up to one shots. I definitely
Yeah.
am.
There's just so much.
I don't mind one shots. I would hate to GM a one shot for a system from the standpoint of reading the rules, understanding the game, and then doing a one shot and being done with it. That would drive me absolutely
Well,
bonkers.
but that's always the possibility of like not having that happen, right?
Yeah,
Of,
and
like, oh,
I
this is
think it
one
also
shot. We want to
depends.
continue this.
Possibly, but again, we get back to the how frequently do or how long do games typically last?
So yeah, so I have a thought about that. We're gonna extend this. I saw a lot of the games that end. I'm beginning to think they don't. It's not a player initiated
And?
cessation of the game. I think it's the fucking GM, and I think it's because of where we started this. I think the GMs are irritated or frustrated, and they don't want to play the game anymore, and they just call it.
It could also be like bored, like because at a certain
I'm
point,
saying,
like you can only absorb so much of the same setting, and like for the players, let's say you're meeting once a week, and it's like for you, it's a 1 day thing, and for the rest of the time, you don't really think about too much of it. But for that GM, it's like you're thinking of your game, you're absorbing all like you yourself. You said that you like to pretty much suck yourself into those things. Like right now, you're watching a shit ton of horror movies because
Oh
of
my God,
VTU.
yeah. Yep.
And that sounds fantastic to me, but I can see how it can get tiresome.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I was wondering that today. Of like, I'm wondering if it's just because GMs are just like, fuck these people.
I think that could also be part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. I got one last question.
All right, let's
And then
do
I think we
this.
can wrap it up. And this one I know you guys already know because I asked it today and then I said don't answer. Because right now, 1D&D seems to be kind of fucking up a lot of the things that 5e has kind of brought together.
Yeah.
So let's say theoretically,
yeah.
people decide, fuck this, and they're trying to find something different. What do you think would be, not what you want it to be, but what do you think would be the biggest contender for 5e or for D&D?
Pathfinder.
I still think it's Pathfinder as well. Yeah.
You think? I think it's too crunchy.
No, I think
No,
Paizo.
it's based on D&D, dude.
Yep. It's based
Oh,
on.
are you
it-
talking
it-
first
it-
edition or
it-
second edition?
So both editions are third edition remakes,
Yeah.
and they're cleaned up a few paces. But the only reason Pathfinder exists is because fourth edition came out, and Paizo realized they fucked up, and they pounced on it. And so if something were to happen to cause fifth edition to begin to collapse, fifth edition is still OGL, and a massive company could pick up that fifth edition and fucking run with it. And you could really just do what they've done with Savage Worlds. I still can't believe it happened with Pathfinder because now I think Savage Worlds Pathfinder is a better version of Pathfinder. But you could just take the entire Pathfinder world and turn it right in on the fifth edition rules and begin publishing it, and they would begin printing money.
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely would be.
Yeah, because I think that really is. That might be Wizards' only real competition. It's not like you said, it's not what I want. Not in my heart. It's not Dungeon Crawl Classics. That's never going to happen. It's not Savage Worlds, unfortunately.
No, I could. I have a feeling it's going to have to stick with a D20 system.
Yep, 100%. It won't be an OSR because no one gives a shit about that. It's just it would be it would have to be Pathfinder.
I'm not gonna lie, like being involved in all this, like OSR, I'm just like, and I've never even looked at it. I have no interest in looking at it.
It's just it's basic bones D&D is all it is.
Yeah.
Now I will say though, I don't know that 1D&D is going to piss everybody off. It's making some noise now.
Yeah.
What's the first rule of negotiation?
Right. Yep.
You're throwing stuff out that you're willing to cut.
Yep.
Like I cannot in my heart of hearts believe that Wizards of the Coast ever thought it was a good idea to not have monsters crit. Right? You put that out there, the fans hate it, they confirm what you already suspected, and now you take it away and you look like the good guy because we're listening to our fans. We're giving you what you want. And so you throw crap out that you know is going to piss people off. That way you can cut it and you don't care because you intended to cut it to begin with. That's my thought.
I think it's going to be the subscription model that's going to end up killing it.
But it can't be full subscription either because they're still going to print physical books. Physical book will get you... No, that's what they said.
I know,
you can get a digital code with your physical book.
I know, but I don't trust them. Netflix used to rent movies on disc too.
And they also tried putting commercials in.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But for that, why did they stop? Why did they stop? People went to the digital piece.
Oh yeah.
Here, if I'm playing D&D and I have a subscription for Roll20, and now I can have my subscription moved over to 1D&D, why would I keep doing Roll20 if I've not lost anything, or I'm not out anything? I'm not getting an additional subscription. I'm just migrating my subscription from Roll20 to 1D&D. So if I'm in on the digital piece, chances are I'm in on the digital piece somewhere else already.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just going to shift my subscription over.
Yeah,
I cannot see them going full subscription only, especially since they're going to continue making physical books.
Well, now I want to win this argument, and I'm going to start tweeting at fucking Wizards of the Coast for being a bunch of anti-climate change deniers or climate change deniers. Because if you print fucking paper books, you're not helping the environment out. So I can fucking play this game too.
I think it will cause damage to it.
Oh, I think it will.
Because they're trying to push it more to the online thing. And I'm going to bring up kind of like this own little mini case study following another tabletop group game that honestly I think most people have no fucking idea that it was this close of a race from back in the day. But when you think of like war games, you automatically think of 40K, right? No. Would you believe in 2000?
No, keep going. We're just being dicks.
I know. In 2016, 40K wasn't actually the biggest contender. The biggest contender was Privateer Press with their War Machine. They were toe in toe. They were literally competing against each other. And you know what ended up screwing over Privateer Press and pretty much turning them into a company that's almost completely defunct now? Was the fact that they said, they pretty much went, well, 40K was like, yeah, you can play casual, you can play this. Because Privateer Press decided, I'm only going to focus on the competitive scene. They ended up alienating most of their audience into going to somewhere else. And I kind of see this is what 1D&D might actually be doing, is they're pushing everyone to specifically say, well, if I'm not on 1D&D, the website, using all that shit, I'm not getting the best out of it. And I feel like that's what's going to end up happening, is it's going to damage the brand, not because what they're offering isn't also available online and offline. It's the fact that the value that they are right now going to be perceiving is, if I'm not playing online, I am not playing to its most potential. And that's the perception that it's going to be drawn to. It's not going to necessarily be the truth, but that is the perception that currently is being thrown out there.
Maybe. I will concede a maybe. Yeah. And the only reason I say maybe, though, is how many people are using D&D Beyond today,
right,
and not playing online? D&D Beyond is a great platform for me to have all of my rule books so that my players don't have to buy them. Mm-hmm. I can put in my homebrewed classes. I can put in my homebrewed magic items. And so that digital platform that they have now already has a subscriber base.
Yeah.
And that platform is not specific to a VTT. All they're doing now is making it so that it could be integrated with a VTT for those that are doing that. You're still going to have people that don't want to do VTT, and you're still going to push people away because it now looks more like an MMORPG.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a guy posting on the Savage Worlds Facebook group today specifically because he sees 1D&D going more MMORPG style, and that's a turnoff for him. So it will alienate people. It may draw in others that aren't there today for that same reason, though.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I just think it'll be a weird situation, though.
Yeah. This is just my own, like, personal opinion. Like, I could be wrong on this, but I think it's going to just put out a negative perception out there. And sometimes all it takes is for the simple word of mouth being is like, yeah, but if you want to play in person, yeah, but if you're not playing online, you're not getting the best of it, to be enough to push people away. Because most people, I think, whether, like, if they're trying out tabletop for the first time, I have a feeling most completely brand new players either know a friend who's playing in real life or hasn't been invited to play in real life. I don't know how many people started online and decided this is how I'm going to, like, this is how I'm playing. It's like,
I think the pandemic
that's why
did
you
that.
have the physical books, though.
Yeah.
They're still going to have the physical books and the physical dice.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they're definitely going to sell the stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to want to diminish that, to be honest.
Yeah. Do I think it's going to kill the company? No, but I think it might give an opportunity for a real competitor come up in the scene.
Oh, anytime there's change like this, I agree. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for all sorts of people.
And then it's just,
but it's
if they double down,
money.
Yeah, and I think the one thing is they can't really not, like, if let's say this play testing for 1D&D, it goes very poorly and a lot of people hate it. Either the system comes out, like, the VTT comes out broken, or, which, to be honest, there's a high possibility of that because it seems everyone launches things too early. I think there's a possibility that it could end up kind of killing the market because they might just need to keep on doubling down because they put so much money into this VTT that if it doesn't succeed, who is it? Hasbro who owns them? Wizards of the Coast? I think it's Hasbro.
Yeah.
Hasbro would say, you are no longer making the profits that we expected of you, and start cutting and start cutting and start cutting. That's a problem when you have a major entity behind you. You don't have a choice with 1D&D if the VTT fails. You have to double down or you're pretty much, and hope that it works out.
I disagree, though. There's a principle in business that a lot of businesses do understand, and that is there comes a point when you cut your losses.
Yes, and I think
and they've done that in the past, because this isn't the first time they'd started talking about a digital platform like this.
Yes.
This is not the first time. So if they see that there's experience on their side to say, okay, we need to cut this now before we bleed more.
But do you think Hasbro is going to care enough to try and save it?
Yes, they did before.
Yeah, but would they do it again? Hasbro makes way more money off of all their other stuff than Wizards of the Coast individually, even compared to just a couple of their lines. Like, I don't know if it's a big enough of a market for them to care to try and put more money into something that may not work out.
D&D is big enough for Hasbro that they made a VP out of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Hasbro has made changes to their company structure because of D&D.
Yeah.
So I think they're a smart company. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I do think they would cut the VTT piece if it proves to be problematic.
Yeah.
And their playtest thing, this isn't the first time they've done that either. I mean, 5e had D&D Next, right? I mean, it was D&D Next before it was 5e, and 5e is different than the initial releases for Next. So it's like they got history behind them that says, hey, we listened to you guys. And so I don't think I hope that it will do something to help promote other games out as people migrate from D&D.
Mhm.
I'm not going to hold my breath though, because they are a very smart group of people at the moment.
I think it's going to move a few people over.
Oh, absolutely, but it'll also attract new people.
Yeah.
So is it going to be a net loss or a net gain? I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
every edition
this could
they
be an
use-
episode on its own.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, every edition you're going to lose people. You know, or they'll play the old edition, I guess. You know, I'm sure
Yeah.
there are people still playing Savage Worlds Deluxe Explorers Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people who hate some of the new Suede stuff, like
Yeah.
like the shaken rules. There are
Yep.
people that are still using the old shake rules.
Yeah.
Watch on Kickstarter, the 5e setting just starts
Stop.
exploding even more as people just want to still play 5e without one D&D.
Why you're bullshitting?
I'm not bullshitting. It's sad because it's like it's sad but true. Like to quote a famous metal band.
Yeah, man.
That's a good song.
Yeah, it is. But anyways, folks, I think this might be a perfect time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had fun. I think Finder and Scott might have had fun.
Yes, it was enjoyable.
It's like therapy. If you like this episode, let us know. You can either join us on our Discord and talk to us about other games, and also even critiques on what your opinion is on 1D&D and all the other questions. What's your pet peeves? I would love to know. You can also send me an email at rpsmartpeople@gmail.com. If you hated this episode, send me a tweet on Twitter at rpsmartpeople. Links for the
Discord. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, if you're all irritated, just send us your most Munchkin character for every system.
Oh my god.
That
That sounds like so much fun.
I'm sorry.
No, do it. If you're listening to this, send me, I don't care what system. If you are able to make the most broken basic level character possible using the rules without, fudging them, without lying, send that to me. I want to see that. That sounds golden. Do that, please.
Why not just make it a Discord channel?
Right there, yeah, while you're bullshit. Just post in the channel.
Yeah.
Munchkins.
Oh, God. All right. So I'm going to definitely make that one tonight. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Later.